Welcome to our Zoom meeting of the Board of Public Works and Safety, Thursday, January 28th, and we're convening at 5 p.m. Before we call the meeting to order, Renee, would you please provide information that you need to disseminate for the board and the public concerning today's meeting?
Yes, the public may participate remotely by dialing 1-312-626-6799 and entering the following participation code, 870-9046-4675#. If you would like to provide comments remotely, you can email them to rrafala@cityoflawrence.org.
Well, thank you so much for that. We will now call the meeting to order and let the record reflect that we do have a quorum sufficient to do business for the City of Lawrence today. We have before us, the first item is minutes of our January 14th meeting. Are there any corrections or deletions or additions to those minutes? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
By Mrs. Browner. Is there a second?
I second.
By Mr. Clark. Are there questions on the motion? Hearing none, by roll call vote, Renee will entertain the minutes.
Doug Reeser.
Aye.
Sean Wright Browner. You're muted, Sean.
Aye.
And Mark Clark.
I approve.
Okay, minutes are approved 3-0. There is no unfinished business before the board today. We'll go directly to new business. And item A is the approval of a memorandum of understanding between Indianapolis DPW and the City of Lawrence Public Works regarding withdrawal from the Marion County Stormwater Management District. I will open for any questions that might be presented.
Mr. Chairman, this is Brian Bosma with the law firm of Kroger, Gardis, and Regas that handled all of this. Would you like for us to give an explanation to the board?
Yes, please.
Outstanding. Please do.
I'd be very pleased to do so. Thank you. First of all, it's a pleasure to be with you all, although albeit remotely. And a few of you have been longtime friends, and it's good to see you again. Our firm, myself and the firm of Kroger, Gardis, and Regas, with which I'm a partner, was engaged by the mayor's office 2 years ago to explore the possibility of Lawrence establishing its own stormwater district and withdrawing from the Marion County Stormwater District. We had previously been engaged by both the City of Beech Grove and the town of Speedway to accomplish that, and actually withdrew them from the Stormwater District. The City of Lawrence was the only remaining excluded city or town, excluded city that remained in the Marion County Stormwater District. While 2 years ago, the decision was made not to go forward in the late fall or early fall of last year, the mayor asked us to proceed with the statutory procedure to withdraw Lawrence from the Marion County Stormwater District. I'll just briefly let you know what all happened in September. With the help of the city utilities, we mailed notice to all affected property owners in the City of Lawrence, all 15,500 of them, that this was proceeding. The Common Council held public hearings on October 5th and 21st and adopted a resolution of withdrawal in accordance with the statute. Thereafter, the mayor appointed a stormwater board, a 3-member stormwater board of your fellow Lawrence citizens, who met on November 16th and adopted a fee schedule, which is identical to the current Marion County Stormwater Fee District. As you know, if you're a property owner, you pay 2 times a year a stormwater fee in the vicinity of $50 to $75 per half, which goes into a special Marion County fund to fund stormwater projects. History has shown that while there is a Marion County code that says those fees are to be paid for or on behalf of projects that benefit the city of Lawrence. There was a difference of opinion between the city of Lawrence and the Marion County Stormwater District as to whether those funds were actually expended to Lawrence's benefit. The withdrawal proceeded with the establishment of fees by ordinance of the Common Council that was adopted on December 7th and published shortly thereafter, December 11th, in accordance with statutory requirements. During all of this, while the Marion County Stormwater District was not thrilled about this, we ultimately got to a position of being pretty cooperative in trying to make this a reasonable exit. Scott Salisbury and Sri were both very helpful in this regard, and Sri's experience with Marion County DPW was also very helpful. Two memoranda have been negotiated. One is before the Board of Works for approval today. The other regarded the Marion County Treasurer collecting stormwater fees for the city of Lawrence. That memorandum at the cost of $5 per parcel per year. That's how they charge Beech Grove and Southport also. That was approved by the Stormwater Board on Monday of this week. I'm going to give you just high level on the exit agreement here. We agree. The statute says that if an excluded city exits from the stormwater district prior to the end of the year, they receive all of that year's 2020's stormwater fees less the amount, pro rata amount based on assessed value of any indebtedness that's outstanding that has been worked into those fees. We also negotiated with the city of Indianapolis was very interested in Lawrence paying stormwater fees for its public buildings, which were due but had not been paid over the last 10 years in the approximate amount of $457,000. The bottom line is that the city of Lawrence will receive in March for 2020 $1,014,000, almost $1,015,000 in stormwater fees that have been, a budget for that has been adopted that just benefits the city of Lawrence. Those monies can only be used for stormwater projects. We have the city controllers online here. He developed a budget for those fees that was approved by the Stormwater Board on Monday and recommended to the Common Council for an appropriation for this year. So you'll receive $1,014,000 this year, about $1,005,000 in all following years, and it will go up because there's a schedule of increases in Marion County, which we have mirrored. You will continue to pay the pro rata debt share, which is roughly, it goes as high as $380,000 per year, but it settles at about $300,000 per year. That's actually an attachment to the MOU before you as an exhibit. As part of the discussion, in this, I'm going to give credit to the Marion County Stormwater District, Indianapolis DPW. They actually agreed to complete two scheduled projects that do benefit the city of Lawrence that will be bid hopefully in June of this year, and Sri can give you details on those, but it's the 47th and Richard drainage improvements and Lawrence Trades District drainage improvements. That's a cost of in excess of $5 million. So in addition, which was really a good gesture, and we appreciated that. I think that had to do somewhat with the mayor's outreach as well, but that's a good thing. Those are the high-level items in the agreement. I'm happy to deal with any issues or questions that you may have. We did actually prepare and submit a resolution for approval by the board. There's been confusion about prior efforts to exit, and I wanted a strong city record as to this exit and to the approval of the agreements and the evidence of the agreements. So we did, I know you don't do them all the time, but we did submit a formal resolution for adoption. It's pretty simple. It just cites the agreement, cites a few of the things that have happened here. It authorizes the mayor it approves the agreement, authorizes the mayor to execute, and also authorizes the mayor in Section 3 to take any additional actions to give effect to the agreement. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Okay, the floor is open. If you have questions, we'll present those to Brian Bosma at this time.
I do.
You're muted, Mark.
Thank you. The bottom line is that we are going to be in control of all of that money and be able to manage it and control project going forward, which is the important part. And it's a significant amount of money, and I thank you, everybody involved, for your hard work to pursue this, because this has been ongoing for a long time. And there was, I know, a lot of angst about money being withheld and, promises made. So I just want to thank you for all your hard work and in bringing this to the finish line.
Thank you.
Those are good comments there, Mark. Mrs. Browner, do you have any comments or questions?
No, I concur with what he said, thanking everyone for their hard work.
Great. Well, I think at this time then, we will move for a motion for approval of memorandum of understanding between Indianapolis DPW and the City of Lawrence Public Works regarding the withdrawal from the Marion County Stormwater Management District.
Mr. Chairman, can that include approval of the resolution that was submitted?
We do not have that.
Well, the resolution was before the Stormwater Board on
No,
Monday.
I sent a Board of Works resolution also, Renee.
We have not received that, or it's not in our packet at this time. Is that something that's going to have to be concurrent, or is it something we can visit?
Can I transmit it to you at this very moment? It isn't required, in all honesty, Mr. Chairman and board members. It's just there have been 3 or 4 different occasions over the last decade where this matter has been discussed, and has been a continuing difference of opinion as to what happened and whether it happened or not. I just didn't want that to be part of this. If your minutes state that it's approved and references the agreement, we can certainly live with that.
Okay.
Approval of
I don't know if
I'll make
Ashley
sure the
Hopper,
minutes. I'll make sure the minutes are very clear.
I just wondered if Ashley Hopper present, is she with us?
I am.
Or-
I'm here.
I guess I would defer to you on whether or not Brian Bosma could send this out to review it, since we're on this subject, or is this too late from a board standpoint legally to entertain that, since we don't have it on the agenda, is my question.
No, I think it's time to transmit it now. It's all part of the same project that Mr. Bosman has already explained. It's part of the memorandum. It just goes along with the memorandum, from what I understand. And so I think you could do a motion to approve both. And if you want to go to a second item on the agenda while it's transmitted, and then we can go back and take a motion in a second on all of them together, if you'd like to do that, just to get a few minutes.
Yeah, I think we'll just, we do not have a motion to approve this yet, so let's see if we can't tie both of these, the memorandum of understanding and the resolution, together, and we'll go on with our agenda and allow Brian to maybe send that to us.
Send it to Renee, just hit send.
Or to Renee, okay.
Yep.
All righty, well, let's do that. Let's go on to item B, unless we've got that before us right now. I mean, I don't have it yet, but
I'm forwarding it right now.
Okay.
And this is going to be resolution number 3
Okay.
of 2021 is what you'll find in your emails.
Hey,
Brian, I have a quick question for you before we move to the other item. So this memorandum of understanding, does that need to be signed by the mayor or the board president?
Signed by the mayor.
Okay.
Let me just double check.
Because it says City of Lawrence, Indiana Board of Public Works is what the signature block is saying.
Yeah, that's okay. It could be by the mayor, and because the resolution authorizes the mayor.
Okay, so Renee, just keep in mind that this will have to go back to the mayor's office for the MOU has to go back, once approved, it has to go back to the mayor's office for
Yes, sir.
signature.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sri.
Okay,
You guys should have that in your inbox now.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I don't have a question about it, and I do see resolution number 3. Ashley, can we include that in my approval of the memorandum and include resolution number 3 at this time? If the board has no questions on resolution number 3, I will open the floor for that if there's anybody that has a question.
You can entertain the same motion for approval for both the memorandum and the resolution. That's fine. And Mr. Bosman's already summarized the resolution in his presentation, and it's what he summarized. So your motion can be for approval of both the memorandum and the resolution.
Okay. Board members, any questions on the resolution number 3? Hearing none, I'm going to put this before the board here one more time. Approval memorandum of understanding between Indianapolis Department of Public Works and the City of Lawrence Public Works regarding the withdrawal from Marion County Stormwater Management District, with adoption of resolution number 3 to be included.
I motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the DPW and of Lawrence and the Public Works regarding the Marion County Stormworks and resolution 3, if that made sense.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mrs. Browner. Are there questions on the motion? Hearing none, by roll call vote.
Doug Reeser,
Aye.
Mark Clark,
Aye.
Sean Wright Browner.
Aye.
And the motion carries 3-0. So it is approved, as well as resolution number 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Much appreciated.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll
And
go to
thanks,
item B. Item B is approval of LED conversion contract with Perfection Group, Inc. Do we have some explanation on that from, I don't know if somebody wants to speak to this, or
I could do that, Coach. So the LED conversion contract is part of the city's overall guaranteed savings program that is being undertaken right now. So in that master contract, there is a provision to enter into this or to perform X amount of street light LED conversions. So that will take the old high pressure sodium, high wattage lights. We'll replace them with LED conversion kits. They'll be LEDs, thereby lowering city lighting costs into the future. And so this is a 3-party agreement between IPL, Lawrence, and Perfection Group. Under the contract with Perfection Group, and then this subsequent contract, the contribution in aid of construction will be paid by Perfection Group to IP&L, and then that's what gets the whole ball rolling. The other part of this is that we have to get this approved so that IP&L can get this before IURC, and because the contract does have to be approved by them and are reviewed and approved by them. So we're recommending that we go ahead and get this signed so they get that process started, and that starting probably around March or April, so the contractor can start on their lighting conversions.
hey, we have some questions for Scott.
So didn't we approve something similar to this with the LED lighting several months ago? I was trying to find something, but weren't we going to already convert all the lighting, street lighting and all that in a past contract?
Or replace, I remember that too.
I don't know if, was that a partial? Did we
This is the first I've seen of this LED conversion contract. I don't remember anything from before.
Yeah, I know we had talked about that. And I know, I was just curious because I do remember approving, the board approving the conversion of all the lighting to LED.
That was, guys, that was for the government center building. The most recent contract that I think you're referencing is the one that we approved a few weeks ago for that certified maintenance agreement.
Well,
Where they have
street lights that we were talking about doing the LED
No,
conversion.
we talked about it, and they told you that we were getting ready to enter a contract with Perfection Group and that we were going to be working on that. But since I've been your board secretary, we've not had one specifically for the streetlights.
I think Mark, several months ago, I think Doug or you or somebody asked about what's going to happen with all the street lights, and some of them are not working. And at that time, I kind of mentioned that we are on a process of changing some of those LED lights through Perfection Group's contract. So there was some conversations that happened during the board meeting about the street lights itself. At that time, I thought it was already part of Perfection Group's contract, which it was not. So this is the contract that's going to follow on that. So there has been some conversations on this from what I am aware of, but not an actual contract.
Yeah, I think there were discussions concerning the fact there were lights that were out in Fort Harrison and other.
Correct.
And it's the old street type lighting that we wanted to get, number one, those lights repaired, but number two, I think someone did mention they were all going to LED. So this is probably entering into that discussion right now, the approval of the LED conversion contract. So I think this is certainly a positive step forward.
Yeah, there has been definitely discussions on that in like a couple of months ago.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I recall. I think I was part of it for sure. Okay, having any other questions before we entertain this approval of the LED conversion contract? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval of the LED conversion contract with Perfection Group, Inc.?
Motion to approve the contract with LED conversion with Perfection Group.
By Mrs. Browner. Is there a second?
Yeah, I second.
The questions on the motion? Hearing none, by roll call vote. Renee?
Doug Reeser,
Aye.
Sean Ray Browner,
Aye.
Mark Clark.
Excuse me. Aye.
And the motion carries 3-0. I look forward to that. I think that'll be a real improvement for the city to have all of our lights the same style, and should add to the beautification of Lawrence. That's what we need. That's wonderful. Item C is approval of resolution number 2, 2021, disposal of surplus property, street department in 1979. That's old. Heister travel. I believe that's Heister trailer lowboy. We've entertained some of these surplus property items before. Are there questions on it? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve resolution number 2?
Motion to approve.
By Mr. Clark. Is there a second?
Second.
By Mrs. Browner. Are there questions on the motion? Hearing none, by roll call vote.
Doug Reeser,
Aye.
Sean Wright Browner,
Aye.
Mark Clark.
Aye.
Resolution number 2 is approved 3-0. Moving on to item D on our agenda today, approval of the Lawrence Police Department Cadet Program Standard Operating Procedures. I don't know if you've had a chance to review those. I don't know if we have any questions from the board. I don't know if Chief Hoffman's with us or Gary Woodruff or any of our.
Yes, sir. I'm here, and our cadet advisor is also here with us, our cadet coordinator, Officer Lucian. So if you have any questions, I can help out, and Officer Lucian is also prepared.
Okay, the floor is open, board. Are there questions concerning the standards, operating standard procedures?
It was quite a lot to read, so. Do you take like graduating class, or do they come in how often do you take a class, if you will?
Well, it's not really a class. It's a program for kids 14 to 21. And so it is an ongoing program, and we're constantly recruiting. And so most kids, a lot of kids, they actually will spend their whole entire adolescence and early adulthood in the program. We have many kids 5, 6, 7 years. Our most tenured person soon be starting their 6th year. So,
and is there a cost? I don't remember seeing it.
A cost to join?
Yes. Yeah. Uniform,
right now,
cost, anything like that?
No. No. Okay. We're very good at fundraising and having sponsors. So traditionally in the past, we have our dues per year has been $115 per year. And this year we're suspending any type of dues payment because we've not had many activities. And so we're pretty good on a cash position.
Okay. Thanks.
Good questions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm curious how many of them go into law enforcement careers past graduation of high school?
That's a good question, and I have history of being an Explorer advisor in both Texas and here, and it's not as many as you think, but they do leave with, when you do a post or a debrief of their experiences, and it's going to be self-confidence. It's going to be a greater appreciation for law enforcement, a greater appreciation for civic stewardship, things like that. And I would say somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 10%.
Okay. Well, and I've had the good fortune of interacting with some of them in the past, and they are very, very impressive young men and women.
And women.
I was slow. Do we have is there any scholarships that we try to help them with if they are interested in law enforcement as a career, or is there any opportunities like that?
Yes, what we've done is about 2 or 3 years ago, and help me out, Chief, but we have a bridging program. We sat down with Captain Matthews of the Reserve Division, with the advice and counsel of the chief, and an explorer who meets certain criteria can bridge into being a reserve officer. And we have one explorer that if they spend 3 years in the program and they are in good standing, plus they've met some criteria, they can actually retire from the post, and we honor them with a shadow box of their badge, et cetera. And if they meet the criteria these kids can, and I call them kids, these kids can bridge into being a reserve officer. Now, in regards to a scholarship, we're not that well funded. We would love to. That would be great. And many of these kids are kids that are financially challenged or are in marginalized homes. So I wish we could do something like that.
Okay, yeah, it's just a great talent pool waiting to become Lawrence police officers someday.
Yeah, I think right now, at one time, 14% of our department. Chief and I did this math. 14% of our department were once explorers. I think we're down to 9%, but we have 2 former explorers that will be, maybe 3, entering into a reserve road school, and then that will bring us back up to 12, I think, 12%.
Oh, wow.
And we have one current explorer or cadet who is planning on participating in our hiring process. So he's already signed up. He's submitted the pre-application paperwork and so forth. So he'll be taking our written exam and our physical exam in April. So yeah, it does happen.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Thank you.
I'd like to just add a couple comments just for your information, because I love promoting the Post. It's no longer a Post, now a cadet program, and we had to leave the Boy Scouts of America due to some legal issues and challenges that they're having. So we've gone independent. But our Post, our program started in 1985, and we're the gold standard. And it's interesting that if we were to look at the standard operating procedures of Carmel and Fishers and Lebanon and Noblesville, and they copied our SOPs from 1985, and so this is like our 3rd or 4th revision. But it's just interesting how we're looked upon about how do you do that, what do you do, and I just LPD, Lawrence Police Department, and all the people involved have been very supportive of explorers, and we are the gold standard because of that support.
Yeah, didn't Carmel donate some cars to you recently?
Yes, they did. Good memory. We were before the board back in December or November. Yes, they did, and they've been gone through by the city garage. We're waiting on the new graphics for the cars. We have one Crown Vic that's ready, and we're waiting on the 3 Impalas to be graphics installed in a new light bars.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Soon they'll be writing city ordinance tickets. So it's been something we worked with the Beech Grove court, with the judge and the prosecutor, and so the kids are really excited about participating in that.
Great.
Oh, I bet. Well, you do a great job, and thank you for everything you do.
Outstanding. Great job. Okay, the floor is still open for questions, and if I'm not hearing any, we will entertain the approval of the standards. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the standard operating procedure.
By Mrs. Browner. Is there a second?
I second.
By Mr. Clark. Are there questions on the motion? Hearing none, by roll call vote.
Doug Reeser?
Aye.
Sean Wright Browner?
Aye.
Mark Clark?
Aye.
And the motion carries 3-0. The standard operating procedures are approved. Moved to item E, which is approval of the Institute for Public Safety Personnel Agreement. And again, the floor is open, Chief, if you want to make some comments, and then we'll have questions.
Yes, IPSP has been a trusted colleague and partner of the Lawrence Police Department for years in terms of managing our hiring process to make sure that we are fair and objective and professional and modern in our selection procedures and all of the very, very specific steps that need to be done in order for our hiring process. And really, to speak really in the weeds on this, if you have any specific questions, Captain Schneider has worked very closely with IPSP over the years and can really address any of your specific questions.
Okay, the floor is open after hearing comments from Chief. And we have Snyder on the line here.
I'm here if you guys have questions.
Okay, there you are. Okay. The floor is open. Are there any questions from the board members?
So have your process changed any based on the past year or so of episodes, or just the change in the world with, as far as the psychological piece of it, or, there seems to be a lot more scrutiny on police officers. So how are you assessing that piece of it differently now, or is it the same?
We have a contract with the psychologist, and there is a test that they use, which is the MMPI-2. So as far as I know, that has not been updated and actually has been around for years. So as far as I know, no, there has not been an update to the MMPI.
Okay. I know being a police officer these days, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. And so it's that mental piece is probably more important than ever. So I was just curious.
Yeah, Mark, and real quick, I'll elaborate without going on and on, but there are several layers of screening. Actually, several is not the word. Probably numerous is a better word. We screen at every level of selection, whether it's the written examination, the oral interview, the physical agility, the psychological, the medical, the background investigation, the pension board review. And at each phase along the way, our Civilian Merit Commission oversees every step that our applicants go through to make sure that at the end of that process, like when you're mining for gold, you know, you lose candidates at each step along the way, and at the end of the day, our goal is to have the best, brightest, most qualified, educated, patient, professional, compassionate, well-rounded, diverse individuals that we can find, and it's an ongoing competition from police department to police department. We're fighting with IMPD, Fishers, Carmel, Westfield, you name it. All of our area departments are seeking that same group of great people that will make excellent police officers. So in terms of the screening process, it would be very, very difficult for someone who is deficient and not psychologically, emotionally, mentally, or physically prepared to actually get through to the phase of hiring. And then once that offer is made, the conditional offer, there's just hundreds and hundreds of hours of evaluation and screening and oversight before that person makes the final cut, which is a year after their hire date. They're on probation for that year. And during that year, if there are any cracks in the armor, any concerns, any issues, they become apparent. So I think to get to your point, with everything going on right now in the United States and American law enforcement, we do everything we know how to do, and then some. People with letters after their names sign off on all of our applicants, and we just do our very, very best. And if somebody gets through who shouldn't get through, we work hard to make sure that they do not represent our city, our profession, and that's kind of what we do, and we take it very seriously. And Captain Schneider and IPSB is a big part of that. So I hope that maybe addresses your concern.
Oh, it's not I wasn't a concern.
Well, your point is well taken, because obviously there have been many incidents last year and prior years where maybe our best and brightest weren't shining through on the national news, for example. But I think locally we're getting it right.
Oh, absolutely. I am proud to say that I am in Lawrence and that the Lawrence police are here, and yeah, you guys do a great job, and I thank you for everything in a difficult situation. So yeah, thank you. And, thank you for your service.
Yeah. And likewise, thank you guys.
I had a question. This is a 1 year. Do you do multiple years?
We do not. We do it. Our list is good for 2 years or until it's exhausted.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, is there a motion then to approve the Institute for Public Safety Personnel Agreement?
Motion to approve.
By Mr. Clark. Is there a second?
Second.
By Mrs. Browner. Other questions on the motion? Hearing none, by roll call vote, Renee?
Doug Reeser,
Aye.
Sean Wright Browner,
Aye.
Mark Clark.
Aye.
And the approval carries 3-0, so it is approved. Thank you. We'll move to our final item on the agenda today, which is item F, approval of the Lawrence Police Department procedural notice use of force. With that, I'll open the floor to the chief for any comments, and then we'll open the floor for any questions.
So yes, we have updated our use of force policy. It's the first time in a little under 10 years that we've done so. We have a very, very solid policy. We did before, and we still do now. We've made a few tweaks to the policy that brings us in compliance with a recent federal mandate, which did not substantially change the way we do business in terms of use of force, but it did add some very specific wording that has been mandated. We're well within the deadline to get that done, pending tonight's approval, of course. But again, I brought backup with me. That's what cops tend to do. So my use of force expert, Deputy Chief Gary Woodruff, is here. If you have any very, very specific questions regarding anything that you read in that policy, which I believe will stand up to any other policy, the best policy for use of force in the United States. It's very comprehensive and very specific, and it's based on law and Supreme Court rulings, and I think you'll find it to be, I will hold it up to any other use of force policy in the nation. But if you have any questions as civilians, as laypersons who are not intimately involved with the rules regarding use of force, please let us know, and we'll seek your approval for this new policy tonight.
I have a question. There's all kinds of language out there about chokehold, and I see there's verbiage in this that addresses that. Where do we stand on? Because there's, the chokehold is the one that gets people's hair up on their neck. So where do we stand on that? Because I do see the language, but.
Sure, and I'll pass that to Gary, because he and I and many of our command staff members have discussed this at extreme length. Gary, you want to just give an overview of why we included that language in our new policy and why we didn't before?
Sure. Yeah, thank you. Board members, can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I would invite Captain Schneider to jump in on any of this also, because she has compiled this policy revision, and so if there's something I forget, Captain Schneider, please jump in. But this is mostly in response to a federal mandate of certain policy revisions that we had to make by a certain date for us to remain eligibility for continuing federal funding. One of those big revisions was the passing of a no chokeholds policy. Now, here's the irony in that. I can tell you, as a state of Indiana certified defensive tactic instructor since the 90s, we've never taught a chokehold here in the state of Indiana, any type of a chokehold. So for us, this is really nothing new. It's just codified. This new policy update codifies it that we do not allow those only under circumstances of extreme deadly force, or of deadly force where an officer would be equally justified in utilizing their firearm or another method of deadly force. That would be the only way any type of a restriction of airway or blood flow due to a, quote, chokehold could even be considered. Otherwise, strictly forbidden and strictly against policy. It never has really been addressed in our policy because we never taught it, to be honest with you. It's not taught at the State Law Enforcement Academy, and it has not been taught locally to Lawrence police officers. Does that help answer your question?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Great.
And this is just an update to what we approved several months ago, the policy that was brought in front of the board. Am I correct?
Yeah, this specific policy is new in front of you. Do not believe this specific policy was recently updated. The last one we did, I believe, was in 2011. And we actually modeled this policy after the state of Indiana's recommendations from the Law Enforcement Training Board and the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. It's very much a model policy that was provided that we applied some local tweaks to, and some local policies and procedures. But as far as the overall language of our policy, it's quite consistent with the model policy provided by the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy and the Law Enforcement Training Board. Captain Schneider, am I summarizing all of that accurately?
You are. It was also the Chiefs Association. It was taken from their policy also, which they all work together and formulating the best practice for law enforcement.
Ironically, we've been working on this policy for quite some time. This is not a reaction to anything that's been done locally here or even necessary nationally. Part of our goals and objectives for 2021 was to conduct a comprehensive review of all of our policies, and Captain Schneider has been spearheading that effort. And you've been seeing several policies put forth in front of you recently, but the use of force one was not one of them. Captain Schneider and her team have been doing stellar work and going through the process of updating and upgrading our policies. That's difficult work, but it's of critical importance.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions? And you mentioned tweaking our policies. Was there things that you as a group looked at that felt like we needed to do a better job in some areas of this of the force issue that we had not been doing? I just was interested not being able to compare both policies.
Sure. We're pretty much in a constant state of looking at what's going on nationally and national trends. Our policy was actually quite good, but it needed updating, needed reviewing and updating. And as far as sources of information, we looked at countless policies from across the nation. We looked at IMPD recently updated policy. We've looked at the Los Angeles Police Departments. We've looked at model policies from the Indiana and the International Association of Chiefs of Police and other Police Executive Research Forum. I mean, we looked at a great many progressive agencies, and ours is right in line. So we felt like this upgrade or this update was important. It's been about 10 years since we revisited it, and it was time to do so. As far as any drastic changes, there really aren't any. It's just clarifying a procedure on some things and ensuring the language is compliant with the federal expectations, the federal regulations that agencies across the United States were asked to do.
And if I can,
very good.
The biggest part of the changes to this policy was consolidating our general orders. We have over 200 general orders, and they're all over the place. So now we're trying to make them into procedural notices that we've been trying to do for some time. And this policy ended up taking probably 5 or 6 general orders and eliminating them and consolidating everything into one.
Sounds good. That sounds like progress to me. That's good to see that we've done that. Are there other questions or comments? Hearing none, I entertain an approval of the Lawrence Police Department procedural notice of use of force.
Motion to approve procedure.
By Mrs. Browner. Is there a second?
I second.
By Mr. Clark. Are there questions on the motion? Hearing none, by roll call vote, Renee?
Doug Reeser?
Aye.
Sean Wright Browner?
Aye.
And Mark Clark?
I approve.
And carries 3-0. Thank you very much. We do have some administration online with us today. Are there any comments from administration this time or updates? Okay, citizens' comments. Renee, do we have anyone that has?
No, sir.
Have not. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
By Mrs. Brown, is there a second?
I second.
By Mr. Clark. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you for our meeting.
Bye,
and
everybody.
Bye. Be safe.
I'll see you tomorrow, Renee.
Thank you
Okay,
all.
Sean.
Everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye now.